Story time. I escaped a religious cult 7 years ago. Without going into too much detail here, let me just say it was an extremely difficult journey. My mental health spiraled downhill, and I thankfully had enough presence of mind to seek out a therapist to work through what was going on with me. My therapist helped give me context to all the wild things I'd walked away from. He was kind, patient, and guided me through what my new normal might look like. I had never had healthy boundaries in my life. Therapy helped show me that as a result of being in a cult or high control group, I had never fully become my own person. It's a shocking thing to learn at the age of 32. I learned how to communicate to the people around me what I was going to do and, more importantly, not do with my time, energy, and resources. BetterHelp is the sponsor of this episode, and they're on a mission to make starting therapy easier. BetterHelp is a platform where therapists and their clients can communicate effectively and get the most out of therapy. There's a journal inside the platform for personal reflection, and there are group sessions on a number of different topics available every day. Starting therapy is easy with BetterHelp. Fill out a questionnaire, and you'll match with a therapist in as little as a couple of days. One of the best features of BetterHelp is that if the first therapist doesn't feel like the right fit, you can easily switch to another one until you find someone you really connect with. They carefully make sure therapists on the platform are well qualified, and their customer support team is there to help if you have any questions. With over 7,000 reviews and a 4.5 rating on Trustpilot, BetterHelp is a platform you can trust. If you're struggling and think you'd benefit from a therapy session, go to betterhelp.com/almanac or choose the Poisoner's Almanac during sign up and get 10% off your first month of therapy. Ooh, welcome back to the Poisoner's Almanac podcast. I am your co-host, Adam.
I'm anxious. Actually, I'm Rebecca, and I'm always anxious, but it's okay.
It's true.
I don't think I would know how to be if I wasn't anxious. I think I would be anxious.
If you weren't anxious, that would make you anxious.
Like, oh God, what's happening? What is that?
Oh God, I feel good. This is
like
rain.
It's like that meme where that guy's looking at the butterfly. Is this peace?
Yes.
Anyway.
That's right. So, first order of business, you look so cute.
Oh, I mean, I don't try that often. So
You have your pink hair, which is gorgeous.
I found pink mascara.
Mm-hmm.
I don't wear it very often, so I can't remember the name of it. My daughter actually gets mad at me when I put makeup on, which is a rare event because I just
Does
don't.
she really?
She does.
Why?
And then she'll be like, oh, is that really that important right now? I want you to play.
Oh.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't ever do this. And so she gets a little bit jealous of
That's funny.
my time with makeup. I don't know.
Yep. I am tired, scared, and glad the work week is over.
The American way.
It is the American way. Muppet Christmas Carol, for those of you, if you know, you know.
Yeah.
You can fit through those bars?
You're such an idiot.
God bless my little broken body.
I am Rizzo. I feel that.
Oh, man. Thank you for not shouting at me. Anyways. Okay. So, what else is new since the last episode? Christmas is coming up.
Yeah. Also, winter solstice is tomorrow, Saturday. It's going to be the first official day of winter.
Mm-hmm.
So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Winter Solstice, whatever it is you celebrate.
Yeah. I got recent a new set of flying gloves.
The heck do you do with the flying gloves?
Put them on your hands when you're flying, so they're not so cold when all that wind up there.
Oh, I was literally thinking like that the gloves flew.
No.
Fly. Like the little keys in like Harry Potter, and you got to go catch them.
The king of the night court deserves only the best flying gloves.
He's the High Lord.
High Lord, excuse me.
Oh my gosh. Did you even read the book?
I totally did, and I enjoyed them. We're talking about Sarah J. Maas books, fantasy fiction books. If you know, you know.
Adam never read fantasy fiction until I kind of was like, here, try that out.
I read a little bit of Star Wars, later.
That's sci-fi.
Okay, but
with a little bit of fantasy involved in it. It's kind of both, I feel like, because the magic system and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's sci-fi with a magic system.
Yeah. So yeah, that is going to take us to a little bit of what we call housekeeping here on the podcast. Make sure you follow us on whatever platform you're listening on. Thank you in advance for leaving 5-star reviews wherever you're listening. It functions like a tip jar, and it pushes the podcast further into the algorithm and into the ears of other listeners like yourself who enjoy this podcast.
That sounds violent. Just right into those ears. You're not supposed to put anything in your ears.
You're not.
So.
Follow us on socials. Links in the show notes. Specifically for the podcast Instagram, poisoners_almanac on Instagram. If you don't mind, screenshot from your phone while you're listening to this podcast, and then post that photo and tag us. We would love to see.
I've been getting quite a few of those.
Yes.
I am going to put some stuff about the bubonic plague on Instagram. I'm trying something new, and we all know how hard that is for me, but I'm going to get it up there. Also, this was my kid's week right
She's
before
out of school.
Yeah, it's been,
and she is a feral animal.
2 hours, not even an hour actually, after she gets out of school and starts break. I'm bored, and so yeah,
I want to put my head through drywall when I hear that.
Yeah, well,
you're bored, huh?
I might before next week's over with.
You might, and I will not judge. We listen and we don't judge.
I mean, it's hard for my face not to, but I try.
But I love that about you. The Patreon is up and running. Let us know what kind of content you'd like to see on the old Patreon. Links in the show notes. You can join as a free member, or you can join as a paid patron for $1 United States per month. Speaking of patrons, if you're a paid patron, there are perks involved, including having your name mentioned here on the podcast.
Ooh, how perky.
Those people are as follows: 87 Pens Girl 71, Mara Santiago, Kate the Fairy, Grace Lahan, Genevieve, Nahev Shatrit, Jay Went, Incan Hafner, Kira Yorsek, Tay of Sunshine, Monique, Shane R., Sue Steves, James Miles. Mills? It's Mills. It's 2 L's. I feel like the double consonant forces me into a short I sound. Anyways. Megan Geiler, Liz B, Wooly Wolf NZ, no laughter please, Mama G, Nicole Rivers, Richard Miyako, Heather Nolan, Katie Rose, Kaylee, Sasha Rubel, Maya Shostak, Maggie's Yarm, Ogre the Viking, Lynn Rocket, Brett Moser, Zaid, Neil Houdini, who can get out of any situation, you know what I'm saying? Nicole Crane, Jefferson Vargas, Carmen Q, Sarah G, Knittin' Ninja, Estar, Olive Octopus, Betsy Rich, Terrorsaurus Hex, T-Bug, Christine Muljotti, Morgan Brittingham, Blau Frosch, also known as Clara Jurasons. It's an L. We got a DM about that.
And it's funny because when I looked at the name, I was like, yeah, that's an L. Did you see an I?
I did. Let me correct it.
And look at you, and you wear glasses.
You're throwing shade at people that can't see. Fine. Vix.
Look, I have my problems.
Caitlin C., Anne Maria, Carl Ziegler Jr., Clyde, Jennifer Wilson Richter, Macaulay Sterland, Too Fidgety, Wendy G., Elena M.K., Vilma Anderson, Caitlin Martin, Pungrammed 101, and new to the Patreon crew, Minnesota SPT.
That's cool. Does it snow? It snows in Minnesota.
Exactly.
And it's cold.
It's so clever.
I wish it snowed here. It never snows here. Okay, it does sometimes, but it's
once a decade we get snow.
And it's like these little flurries and everybody freaks out and then it's gone the next day.
One flake of snow will close an entire school district.
It will. Oh, but when it happened in Atlanta, remember what happened when it happened in Atlanta? All the traffic, they literally let everybody out at the same time and people were stuck in their cars overnight.
Yes, they were. Great idea. Also, Minnesota SPT, I need to know if the SPT means student physical therapist, because when I was in physical therapy school and we were doing documentation, we had to notate the SPT after our name to indicate we were a student. So just let us know. Michael McCombs, Tasha, Stuart Slattery, and Prem Risen.
Ooh, some new names. That's cool.
Thank you all so much for your support. Also, we still have listener support on Spotify. That is going away in the month of January.
You know, so much is going away in January, and I don't appreciate it. I don't like change. I don't know what I'm going to do. I hope TikTok sticks around because I don't know what am I going to do?
We're going to have to talk to each other. If TikTok goes away, you'll discover what I'm really like. TikTok and I can't have
gives me
that.
Dopamine. I need the dopamines.
to the United States government.
You don't
Please.
understand. I watch duck videos on there. The little thingies on the little clippy claps of their feet. It gives me joy.
My wife will not stay married to me without this app. Sincerely,
What
a
am I going to
tax-paying
send you?
citizen.
What am I going to send you? I guess Instagrams. I send you, but I usually send you house listings in other countries. Instagram.
It's so true. Okay. So listener support on Spotify. Taylor McCaleb, Drew Revis, Heather Nolan, Delshawn Harris. Thank you all so much. Send us questions or content suggestions for the podcast to the podcast Instagram with a comment or a DM. Also,
I get like videos. People just send me videos, and I love it. I love it.
You guys are treating Becca the same way that we treat each other with sending
Totally, just send me stuff. I'm cool with it. I like to send stuff to people too, so I get it.
So we have a voicemail from a listener. It is anonymous, but it is. I have to warn you all. It's very sweet, and it's from, I believe she's German, and she has the most pleasing and soothing accent. So,
isn't it funny how we always love other people's accents?
Yes.
I love their accents,
Yes.
but like I really don't like my own because I feel like I sound like a hick sometimes, especially when I'm tired. I don't like it, but here we are.
That's right. Okay, so here's this week's voicemail. Get that volume coming up.
Hello, Becca. Hello, Adam. Greetings from Germany, and thank you so much for your podcast. It's amazing. I have discovered it a few months ago, and I'm really looking forward to every Saturday now. Saturday evening it comes up in Germany. So, yeah, and I think your content is so fun and really it's invigorating, kind of, because I've never been a person that is really interested in anything except for knitting. Like I'm not really interested in politics or anything. So, and you giving out that content is amazing because it's really interesting and it really gives me, I don't know, it gives me so much. I don't know what I was saying.
I feel that.
Yes.
Yeah,
we know what you mean.
Thank you so much for your content and keep up the good work. And I'm waiting still for the hoodies because I'm going to buy merch from you when the hoodies are dropping. So,
I want a hoodie too.
And
oh, it cut off. There's a 90-second limit. But anyways, thank you so much. That was so nice, so sweet.
I want to knit. I tried the I think it was crochet though. I think is it the little kits that they have, like the special like stretchy kind of what is woobles. The woobles.
Woobles.
Yeah, I tried those and like it was really comforting because I was actually able to do it. I don't have great like movement with my fingers. I tend to be clumsy with my fingers. I don't really know what you would call that, but I have a hard time.
Fine motor movement.
I guess so, because like I just drop things easy and is that the wind?
That was the wind.
Oh my god. Okay, well,
it's howling like a ghost of Christmas future.
Oh, speaking of which,
also I wanted to mention the hoodies are available right now.
Are they?
They are. We've already had one listener post a photo of herself in her hoodie that she
Oh my
bought.
gosh, that's cool.
Yes. So they're available right now. I can repost the link to the merch in the Patreon. But yes, we got hoodies, we got t-shirts, we got stickers.
Yeah.
That's what we have so far. But we got plans. You guys let us know what kind of merch you'd like to see.
Honestly, here, our weather, like it was like 75 degrees last week.
Yep.
And now it's going to be like 40 in a few minutes.
It's going to be so cold.
It was 65 earlier today. And it's about to be like 40 degrees tonight. So
right.
I'm so confused. I'm just trying not to have a meltdown before Christmas, to be honest. So I don't even care about New Year's, whatever. I'm surprised. I'm one of those people that's like, okay, it's a new year. Woohoo, we're running around the sun again. Big whoop, right? I'm kind of boring when it comes to New Year's, but I also don't like fireworks because the noise. I really don't like loud sounds. It really
You do
upsets
not.
me. And so me and my dog, we just huddle up and watch movies when fireworks come.
That's right. All right, dear. What are we talking about today?
Well, in keeping with the season, I want to actually talk about some Christmas plants or plants that are associated with Christmas or other winter holidays that are poisonous or have been rumored to be poisonous. And it's funny because I got a message from our friend Carl that he was like, "Oh my gosh, you should talk about." I mean, he didn't say, "Oh my gosh, that was me," but he was like, "You should talk about some Christmas related plants because it's I was like, you know what? I was planning on doing that. Great minds think alike. Look at there."
Great.
Yeah. Thanks for reading my mind. But yeah, so in keeping with this season, I do want to go over some stuff. I've been waiting to talk about some of these. Now, many of these plants actually became associated with these holidays a long time ago and have some great stories behind them. Y'all know I love some good folklore and learning about different cultures. Now, I'm going to be trying to pronounce some names. I may get some wrong. Those of you that are from these particular countries, totally correct me. I am totally cool with being corrected and learning how to say things. So it's no offense if I say something wrong. You are welcome to correct me. I take no offense to it, but I'm going to try my best. I've looked some up. I'm going to do my best. So yeah, I just love, there's something about learning about how different people live or lived that fascinates me, like what they believe and why, the foods they eat, the way they communicate, obviously the stories they tell and why. Like anytime we get like voicemails from certain listeners, like now I'm thinking about what kind of food do they eat in Germany? I bet it's
100%.
good. I bet it's so good.
Where do you shop?
Because like
what does your day-to-day look like?
I've heard things from people from overseas where they're like, they say that our food is too sweet, or our food is
trash.
Well, yeah. Like we may have some good things, like we have a lot of convenience type foods, and there can be good things and bad things about that. But yeah. But let's start with one of the most well-known plants tied to Christmas season, the poinsettia. I swear I normally say this plant's name wrong because I talk too fast sometimes. I'll be like, the poinsettia. Poinsettia. It's poinsettia. If I slow down, I could say it. Anyway, though, it's also known by its scientific name, Euphorbia pulcherrima. I put a nice little roll on that R.
Hello. My goodness.
Well,
there's children listening.
I'm going to be international. No, I did not even mean to do that. Look at me. I could not do that if I was actually trying to use it.
Okay.
It just came out.
Can you do it again, please?
Pulcherrima. Wow. Okay. It is a part of the spurge family. It is indigenous. Now I can't even say indigenous.
Stumble over the normal words. It's fine.
It is indigenous to Central America and Mexico. Its use as a decoration or as a gift for this time of year really isn't surprising considering its green and bright or deep red foliage. The name poinsettia actually comes from the name of the first United States minister or envoy to Mexico. His name was Joel Roberts Poinsett, who introduced the plant to America in the 1820s.
Get out of town.
Fun fact.
I never knew that.
Fun fact. Andrew Jackson was offered the position of minister to Mexico first, but he declined it. I am not sure why, but it is commonly known that Jackson was pretty darn racist. So that
I'm not sure why, but he was a racist piece of excrement.
He was, and so that could be part of it. Just don't quote me on it because that's an educated guess.
Can you imagine they would have named it the Jackson-settia?
He's the reason. He's the reason for the Trail of Tears and all that too. He was quite.
Yes.
But Roosevelt. I heard Roosevelt was pretty racist, and yeah. Like he did a lot of good things for like the parks and stuff of America, but he still. Yeah. He had his bad sides too.
If you roll back the clock far enough, you're going to find heinous things.
Now there are like you go by Adam, but your first name is John.
Correct.
But John Adams was actually a decent dude. He was not into slavery. He was not into.
Oh, I actually didn't know
for the time that he lived, like everybody was like totally doing that kind of stuff, and he was like, "I'm against it."
Wow.
So
they were like, "Stop trying to make fetch happen."
Power to him.
Wow. Interesting.
Anyway, I'm moving off of topic, as I usually do. Now, in case you have not seen one, they have these brilliant red flower-like leaves and green foliage. As I've said, they are considered shrubs or small trees, and they can actually range between 0.6 to 4 meters in height. That's like 2 to 13 feet. They can actually get pretty big. I was like
13 feet.
I don't know. Is Costco like a purely American thing? Does anybody? I guess. Well, I went to Costco. Those of you who know what Costco is, I went to Costco, and they had like rows of these things being sold. It's a common. I don't think I've ever bought a poinsettia in my life,
neither.
and I love plants. I'm just not a super like.
Right, but you're so you're like a.
I like green type.
You're a plant sommelier.
I like the green stuff that like climbs and that kind of stuff. I have a lot of let's see.
You like the plants that will turn your house into a Victorian setting of a book.
I love my monsteras. I love a lot of my philodendrons and such. And so I've never actually bought a poinsettia. They actually have a Lego poinsettia though, for those who would rather. Well, and look, actually, I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
Hang on.
Okay.
We'll get there. Now, it is known in Mexico and Guatemala as Flor de Nochebuena in Spanish, meaning it's supposed to mean Christmas Eve flower. It was also once known as the Mexican flame flower or painted leaf. Okay, this is where I'm going to try to say this. The indigenous name that the Aztecs used, I looked this up. Okay, so give me a second. Quetzalcoatl.
No.
Quetzalcoatl, yeah.
I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
Like Quetzalcoatl, like they had that term Quetzalcoatl. Like it's written very different than it sounds, so I had to look that up.
Is it any relation to axolotl?
No.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. But Quetzalcoatl.
Okay.
So it comes from the original Aztec, meaning flower that grows in residues or excrement flower, basically.
Oh, gosh.
Well, this is due to the fact that birds eat the seeds and then they basically spread them in their droppings.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a life cycle for a lot of plants.
Yeah, it's a pretty common thing.
Yep.
It was cultivated by the Aztecs for use as an antipyretic, so fevers.
Oh, okay. I just realized so much of the world knows that animal poop is part of plant life cycles because of that scene from Jurassic Park with Jeff Goldblum.
I love Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum is one of my favorite humans.
Sparkles.
I love him so much. I love Tim Curry. I love so many like people that are just different. I love it.
Yes.
Anyway, great dude. Isn't he he's like married to a contortionist too?
He is.
So that sounds
He spotted her doing her
That makes sense. Like
100%.
Yeah.
Like, my goodness, can I buy you a drink?
Anyway. So it's also used as a dye. It was also used by the Aztecs as a dye for a good reason, the red and all that. In Spain, it's actually known as the Easter flower or Flor de la Pascua.
Pascua.
Pascua. Is it Pascua? I could be saying that wrong.
Is it Pascua?
Yeah.
Pascua.
I took French. I'm sorry. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. Another reason for its connection to Christmas is the legend of a little girl named Pepita. It was said that an angel inspired Pepita, a poor indigenous girl living in a village in Mexico, to bring the plant to the nativity scene set up in church to give to the baby Jesus. It was custom to bring a gift to the candlelight service for the baby Jesus, but she had nothing she felt was good enough to bring. She had tried sewing a blanket or making shoes, but she just couldn't do it. Her parents were also very sick, so she was responsible for caring for them as well as her siblings. So on Christmas Eve, it's said that she stood crying and looking down at the service when a strange man appeared and told her that her parents would soon be well and that she should take her siblings and go to the service. She voiced her concern about not having a gift for the baby Jesus, and the man told her that anything she brought would be loved. He then flew off into the sky, and she knew it was an angel. No, I would be like, what the heck? But here we are. So Pepita gathered some nearby plants and took her siblings to the service where she offered up her gift. Of course, others were looking on horrified that she was giving a bunch of weeds to the baby Jesus, But as she did so, the plants were crowned with brilliant red flowers. The others were shocked and believed it to be a miracle. When they returned home, her parents were well, and all of the weeds surrounding the village had turned red as well. Every year after, weeks before Christmas, the hills in Mexico became red from the plant's appearance. The red is supposed to symbolize the blood of Christ, while the flower-shaped red leaves are said to resemble the Star of Bethlehem. So it's a cute story. It kind of reminds me of Angela's Christmas on Netflix. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Our daughter loved this little movie. It was like a short film. It's called Angela's Christmas, and it's about this like poor Irish family.
Yes,
and
very
like
cute.
she goes and she kind of like steals the baby Jesus from the nativity scene so she can keep it warm. It's so adorable.
Yes. Yes.
Like even if you're not into like nativities and stuff, it's a cute movie. But yeah, so this story became common around the 17th century, and it was around then that Franciscan friars began using this plant in their Christmas celebrations. It should be noted, though, that before this tale, Catholic priests, a good century earlier, were not into it at all and wanted to banish every part of the indigenous culture, including the use of the plant in Aztec medicine and dyes. Makes sense for how they did things. Now, Albert Eck and his sons are responsible for their great popularity around Christmas here in the States. Paul Eck Jr., Albert's grandson, I believe, he began sending free poinsettias to television stations between Thanksgiving and Christmas so they could be a part of the holiday display.
Mm-hmm.
He also went on popular television shows, such as The Tonight Show, to promote the plants as a holiday must-have. The Ecks have been able to promote the growth of fuller plants using this sort of grafting thing that they came up with. So they looked better in pots for display, that they looked fuller.
Mm-hmm.
This whole campaign was honestly genius. And from then on, the association only grew, and they were basically a monopoly of poinsettia plants for the holiday season up until like 2008. When they were still, even at that point, they were still serving like 70% of the American market. And
oh my God,
50% worldwide. So good deal on them.
Mr. Eck was a poinsettia baron.
Mm-hmm.
He had achieved,
and it just like down the line they they totally monopolized on it.
Regulatory capture of the poinsettia industry.
I mean, it worked, right?
He got Johnny Carson to buy in.
Yeah. So why am I telling you this? Well, one, because the poinsettia is the world's most economically important potted plant, as 70 million are sold yearly in a 6-week period this time of year. That's a lot.
Wow.
Making around $250 million.
I'm just going to a job Monday through Friday like an idiot.
You could have been sending plants to people and being like, look, this is associated with Christmas. Buy my stuff. But yeah. But it worked out. Now, two, because the poinsettia has long been believed to be toxic. This belief actually comes from this urban legend of a 2-year-old dying after ingesting a leaf from a poinsettia in 1919. This one story was not helped by a book titled Poisonous Plants of Hawaii by H.R. Arnold in 1944, which featured poinsettias as toxic. I don't think they're even native in Hawaii, but maybe they were introduced there.
Okay.
Yeah. Arnold would actually later admit, though, that the story mentioned about the 2-year-old was just hearsay and that there was no evidence of the plant being toxic. So, even though he wrote a book saying, yeah, it's toxic. Now, this was made even worse in 1970 when the U.S. FDA published a newsletter stating that just one poinsettia leaf could kill a child.
Okay.
And the plants were thus banned from nursing homes in some states, just in case. Now, the plant contains chemicals such as pulcherol and pulcheryl acetate in its latex, or its sap, if you will. So nothing crazy like you find in like nightshades and such.
Mm-hmm. Any cardiac glycosides?
No. Triterpenes are also found in the plant, but this is produced by many animals, plants, and fungi. This may be the reason behind any skin irritation if you touch it, like you maybe have like a sensitivity reaction to it.
Okay.
Some triterpenes are actually being examined as a possible treatment for Alzheimer's, which, by the way, I just read that they've just found evidence that Alzheimer's is more of an autoimmune disorder.
Get
Yeah.
out of here.
Instead of simply a neurological one. Like they're actually looking into the fact that it might actually be an autoimmune. Like it may not even be simply a neurological disorder. Like it,
Bruh.
like it might be the immune system attacking
That
itself.
is wild.
So they're looking into that. I don't know where that's going to go, but it's a new sort of study that they're getting into.
Wow.
Now, if a child did die, there is no confirmed record of a poinsettia that was responsible. Ingesting parts of the plant can result in mild GI symptoms like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. And touching can cause a short-lived rash or skin irritation in some, not all. But there have actually been no confirmed deaths. In studies with rats, there was no point reached where leaves or sap from the poinsettia resulted in death.
Mm-hmm.
They used up to like 500 leaves and 2.2 pounds of sap, and the rats were still fine. And these are rats; they're smaller than us, you know.
Right. Okay.
So there was a study in the American Journal of Emergency Medicine some years ago that looked at 23,000 cases of those who ingested leaves from a poinsettia and found no fatalities, and that 92% of these had no symptoms at all. It is estimated that a 50-pound child would have to eat more than 500 poinsettia leaves for it to lead to trouble.
Okay.
So I think we're okay.
It's not poisonous.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to have too many problems. A survey of more than 20,000 calls to the American Association of Poison Control Centers from 1985 to 1992 related to poinsettia exposure showed no fatalities. In 92.4% of all calls, there was no effect from exposure, and in 3.4% of calls, there were minor effects, such as minimally bothersome, as it was defined. Similarly, pets may also have GI issues such as mild drooling or vomiting, sometimes diarrhea if they ingest parts of this plant, but they too are not at risk of death by poinsettia. Now, in rare cases, exposure to the eye may result in eye irritation. Skin exposure to the sap of the plant may cause itchiness, redness, or swelling. It can induce asthma and allergic rhinitis in certain groups of people, but honestly, a lot of plants can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So surprised, disappointed, thinking of using poinsettias for nefarious purposes this holiday season. You're better off just telling your in-laws how you feel. That was a joke. I swear.
It's pretty good.
But hey, now if you have a child or pet and they accidentally chew on or eat some of your pretty poinsettia leaves, you don't have to stress too much. And I said I was going to come back to that whole Lego thing. A lot of people actually get the Lego set because they believe that it is poisonous to pets or children, so they don't want to get the real thing. So they get the Lego set. And the Lego set's cute, don't get me wrong, and you can just reuse it, right? So
and it's only $400.
And it's fun to put together. Well, no, it's not, that one's not $400.
Oh. Okay.
Now, the one that I really want one day it's going to happen. I want the McAllister house.
Yes.
Right? It's like $300. Mm-hmm. But like, how cool would that be to have that for Christmas? And like, instead of like an advent calendar or like one of those Christmas setups with a little village, you could just like move the people in various situations from the movie every day. Anyway, I thought it was cute. Cute idea.
Sandy, don't visit the funeral home, little buddy.
Just one TikTok.
Yes.
Yes. But yeah, that one is expensive. There are a couple that are expensive, but I don't recall the poinsettia one being that expensive. I mean, it is Lego, but now, yeah. If you were like me, though, you'll still call the poison control people, and they'll tell you to just watch for upset tummies, basically. Okay. I called poison control when our daughter ate an entire tube of that toothpaste, but the toothpaste didn't have fluoride in it. Mm-hmm. It was, but I was like, you know, what if it has something else? Oh my God. Yeah. You know, she just ate this entire tube. She literally went in there, shut the door, and was like blockading it so I wouldn't get in so she could eat stupid, but she won't eat food I give her. What is that? Anyway, but yeah, I literally called poison control and they were like, she'll be fine. I was like, thank you. I just needed to hear that.
It's very, very.
When it's your child, you know, it's, mm-hmm. You're just like,
it was due diligence on your part to call. So
yeah,
very sweet of you.
Okay, next one up is mistletoe. Is this a kissing plant? Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
Princess Buttercup.
This one has been popular for a long time for different reason, and for different reasons and for different cultures. It too is very rich with lore. The word comes from the Germanic word missel, which may actually mean basil, even though it's not basil,
Okay.
And the Old English word tan or ton, maybe, or which was twig. There are various species of mistletoe throughout Europe, Australia, Africa, and North America. It is a semi-parasitic plant, although dwarf mistletoe is fully parasitic. Just wanted to mention that. I didn't want to let that go.
Okay.
Because I have a problem with letting things go. But this semi-parasitic plant attaches to many different host trees, causing stunted growth, loss of outer branches, and in severe cases, death of the tree. I'm pretty sure the dwarf mistletoe, if the tree is not if it's not removed from the tree, it could actually suck the tree dry. So it can actually kill the tree.
Wow.
Now, mistletoe does have evergreen leaves and stems and can photosynthesize on its own just fine at first. It eventually forms something called a hostorium, which is like a root-like appendage that just grows into the host tree so it can steal water and nutrients from the host, basically.
Yikes.
So, yeah. Most species have white or red berries. The Viscum cruciatum, which I know sounds like the Cruciatus curse, but no.
It does.
Typically in Spain, Portugal, and Africa, that's the one that typically has red berries. The ones that you see in other parts of Europe are going to have white berries. But the one usually referenced around this time of year is the European mistletoe or Viscus album. Album meaning white, because you got the white berries.
Oh, like albino.
Or Albus Dumbledore with his
I
white
didn't think about
hair
that.
and stuff.
Okay.
Or did he have gray hair? Did he have gray hair or white hair?
It was like whitish,
Yeah,
grayish.
I love those books and movies, and I can't remember what Albus Dumbledore looked like. I'm pretty sure I have face blindness too, though. With its green, oval-shaped leaves, woody stems, and white berries. Now, the North American version is similar and known scientifically as Phorodendron leucarpum. The the genus Viscum was brought to California as well, so it can grow here. That's the European version. The seeds are commonly spread by birds with adapted stomachs, or who are able to kind of keep the seed from being ingested by they literally just wipe it off their beaks. Like they're smart enough to know, like, I don't want to ingest this because it might make me sick.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
All in all, there are 1,500 species of mistletoe. Some more toxic than others, because yes, this one is toxic, or at least part of it is. The European species, Viscum album, is more so than the American one. Now, here in America, the eating of a few raw berries or just leaves usually won't cause serious harm, but it could lead to some GI issues, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, that sort of thing in some people. Obviously, it's not a good idea to just eat a bunch anyway, but the effects of accidental ingestion would not be fatal, basically. Now, the European or common mistletoe, Viscum alba, is potentially fatal in a concentrated form, and the berries can cause serious illness. It contains the lectin or protein viscumin, which is cytotoxic, as it is a ribosome inactivating protein, a RIP. Remember we've talked about RIPs, RIP? So it resembles like a ricin or abrin.
Okay.
Abrin, yeah. Yeah, those are also ribosome inactivating proteins. Some birds can eat it, though, as they are immune, such as the aptly named mistle thrush.
Oh, get out of here.
So that's kind of fun.
Okay.
Now, symptoms of mistletoe poisoning include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, dizziness, slowed heart rate, and neurological effects in severe cases. Liver and kidney damage may also occur. Death by mistletoe is rare, but usually is caused by drinking mistletoe tea, which you'd have to find and don't do that. Don't drink mistletoe tea. So why is it connected to Christmas? Well, it has many stories attached to it, so let's start with those told by the ancient Greeks and Romans. Mistletoe is believed to be the golden bough of the Trojan hero Aeneas, of Aeneid fame. You know, Virgil wrote the Aeneid. Yeah. Now, he was told to find the golden bough in some forest by the Sibyl, the prophetess of Cumae, named Deiphobia, who was at the temple of Apollo. Now, he finds it with help from his mother, who happens to be Venus or Aphrodite, if you're thinking about the Greek or the Greek version. And he ends up descending into the underworld to give it to Proserpina or Persephone in the Greek, the wife to Pluto / Hades, as a gift. Now, he sees various parts of the underworld, including Tartarus, it's like where the bad people go, or the people who aren't good. I don't know. And the Elysian fields, where like a lot of the better like heroes and good people went of the underworld. And there he sees his father in the Elysian fields, who proceeds to tell him about the river of forgetfulness. I think it's called Leth. On the other side of the river are the souls of those waiting to be born, including Aeneas's eventual descendants, including Romulus, future founder and first king of Rome, and later, like, the Caesars, apparently.
Okay.
So he gives Aeneas some advice, and then he leads him to a gate that will take him back to Earth. So, as you can see here, the Greeks believed that mistletoe could be used to gain entrance to the underworld, as well as the Romans. The Romans also believed that mistletoe symbolized peace, love, and understanding, and often hung them on doorways for protection. They also used it for medicinal purposes in an attempt to treat headaches, seizures, spleen issues, high blood pressure, arthritis, and menstrual cramps. Modern studies haven't shown any real medicinal use for any of these, however, so it was kind of in vain, but so were a lot of remedies. Now, what about
placebo effect?
Yeah, well, for some it might have been. Yeah. Now, what about the Celts? They considered mistletoe as sacred, as it often grew on oak trees, which they also revered. Now, they would watch the trees go dormant in the winter, as many do, while the mistletoe lived on perfectly green and healthy because it's an evergreen type plant. And they believed that the tree's life must have been held within the mistletoe until spring returned. So they believed like its soul was in the mistletoe, and so it just kind of got sucked into there and then returned. I guess
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, it was considered as the soul of the tree. So they had a ceremony that involved the plant. And in his Naturalis Historia, Pliny the Elder, the Roman philosopher and historian that we have definitely talked about before, he observed that the Druids, so the Celts magicians are called, held nothing more sacred than the mistletoe and the tree that bears it, always supposing that tree to be the oak. But they choose groves of oaks for the sake of the tree alone, and they never perform any of their rites except in the presence of a branch of it. So according to him, during a night with a waxing moon, typically, a druid in a white robe would climb an oak tree and cut mistletoe down with a golden scythe. It wasn't allowed to touch the ground, so it was caught in this white cloth, and then afterwards 2 oxen would be sacrificed under the tree, while prayers for prosperity were kind of said. Now, they also believe that mistletoe was a cure-all and antidote to any poison. To them, this would have been like a remedy to disease, infertility, witchcraft, and poison. They even used it for their livestock. Like if their livestock looked upon it, then they would be fertile the next season. So, now, part of these traditions endured as the reason mistletoe is hung from a door or from a wall or archway. It is bad luck to let mistletoe touch the ground, as it is supposed to remain between heaven and earth. So, like hung on a tree, it hangs on a tree. It doesn't grow on the ground.
That part about if livestock look at it, they become fertile.
I know what you're thinking about.
It's like a story from, is that Genesis?
One of them.
Yeah,
I mean, not one of the Genesises, but like one of the chapters. Yeah, he does like the spotted or something.
Yeah, it's this weird combination. It's like, and it totally works. How does that work?
Well, yeah, they look at some sticks and then like, I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Apparently it's a pretty common story about certain plants. Now, yeah, so if mistletoe were to touch the ground, it would lose its magical effects, or its healing nature would be ruined, basically. So some still feel mistletoe should be fed to like birds or burnt as instead of simply throwing it away. Because if you throw it away or if it hits the ground, you just throw it on the ground, that it's bad luck. So they'll do something else with it. Like it's just a tradition that has remained, I guess. Now, traditionally, mistletoe was gathered during the solstices, so the midsummer or midwinter. and its evergreen nature, so its ability to not only survive the winter, but basically to thrive, made it popular symbolically for the winter solstice celebrations. Other such plants that were considered sacred for this reason were holly and ivy. Its association with Christmas came later because for a long time, people didn't bring it out as a decoration until New Year's. It was actually given as a New Year's gift by some Celts in areas like Gaul and such. When Christianity began spreading across Europe in the 3rd century, they also adopted the whole mistletoe is cool thing. Some even started believing that the crucifix that Christ died on was made of mistletoe, which apparently they thought used to be a tree until after his death. And then it was cursed to be a parasite after that. So that was like a little myth that they came up with. In England and Wales, there came a tradition for young women to seek out the blooms of the oak tree on Midsummer's Eve and place a white cloth under the tree to collect the dust of the wilted flower the next morning. This dust was supposed to be placed under her pillow, and she would dream about her future husband. Like his image would appear, I guess. Now, this superstition spread pretty far, actually. In such places as Ireland, placing mistletoe itself under one's pillow was also considered to bring luck. So why all the kissing under the mistletoe? The plant has long been associated with fertility, and another tradition that became popular in England involved giving the liberty of a man to kiss a woman under mistletoe at festivals. I mean, consent much? Right?
Exactly.
After a kiss, a berry would be plucked from the plant, and once all the berries were gone, no more such liberties were given. So, we haven't yet covered the Norse beliefs about mistletoe.
Oh, let's.
However, and according to some, the idea of kissing under such may have derived from their stories. The goddess Frigg, goddess of love and beauty, had everything, including trees, rocks, metals, literally everything apart from one thing. Swear an oath not to hurt her son, Balder, as he had been having dreams of being harmed, basically. So he was basically considered invulnerable at this point, and the other gods just had fun testing it out, they were pleased that he wasn't hurt by anything thrown or shot at him. Well, Loki, feeling mischievous,
not that guy,
as Loki does, he goes and questions Frigg about the oath swearing and if she truly made everything swear to not hurt him. So she then revealed that there was a plant called mistletoe that to her seemed too young to swear. Whatever that means.
Okay.
So she did not make it take such a vow. So Loki went and grabbed some mistletoe. Seems, innocuous enough. He then went to the blind god Hother and asked him to join the fun, as he had not thrown or shot Balder with anything. So he gave him the mistletoe and said he would tell him where to shoot it, as he could not see, and Hother agreed. Now, Hother shot the sprig of mistletoe that Loki gave him at Balder, and it pierced right through him, killing him. Hother and the other gods grieved Balder, and in one telling, his body is burned on a pyre, and in another, Frigg gets the other gods to bring him back to life, rewarding them with kisses. The gods then make mistletoe promise to never cause such harm again, and to only ever do happy deeds. Happy deeds done dirt cheap. I don't know.
Yeah, those are the lyrics of that famous AC/DC song.
Yes. Now, Norsemen came to believe that mistletoe was a plant of peace, and when meeting an enemy under the plant, fighting had to stop for at least a day. Of course, it was common practice for Norsemen to also steal kisses from women standing under mistletoe, and it was bad luck to refuse such a kiss. So I wonder who came up with that.
Probably a guy.
The earliest documented practice of kissing under mistletoe appeared between the 16th century and 18th century, with written reference of kissing under the mistletoe coming from a song written in England in 1784, which some of the lyrics were, "What all the men, Jim, John, and Joe, cry, what good luck has sent ye, and kiss beneath the mistletoe, the girl not turned of 20," which sounds creepy.
Okay.
But yeah, there we have it. That was...
Like I said, if you roll the clock back far enough, you're going to find some heinous thing.
Okay. So real quick, I should mention that this was not the only thing becoming a tradition in England, but also in Austria. The custom was a bit creepier even there, however. On New Year's Eve, people would gather in inns or taverns where pine twigs were actually hung from the walls and rafters of an old. And then there was this old man that they, for some reason, called Old Sylvester. And he was wearing
Old Sly.
like they'd get him to wear this wreath of pine twigs, and he would basically just wait for a youth or maiden to venture under the hanging plants so he could jump out and kiss them forcefully.
Okay.
Don't like that.
Don't like that.
Anyway, a part of this custom also included running him out once midnight struck as a sign of the old year leaving. Bye, Sylvester. Now, the practice of kissing under the mistletoe was later described in 1820 by American author Washington Irving in his the sketchbook of Geoffrey Crayon. Now, he also wrote the Headless Horseman stuff, Sleepy Hollow.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool dude. Now, he wrote, the mistletoe is still hung up in farmhouses and kitchens at Christmas, and the young men have the privilege of kissing the girls under it, plucking each time a berry from the bush. When the berries are all plucked, the privilege ceases. So that tradition sort of carried on.
Mm-hmm.
Still, during the 18th century, and after some continued the simple tradition of hanging mistletoe in the house for good luck and peace, and it would be replaced with like fresh mistletoe when the new year arrived to keep that luck for the year, basically. So kind of like, I don't know if this tradition is everywhere, but I know like here you hear people talk about like, oh, you need to eat black-eyed peas and greens for the new year because like it symbolizes wealth and luck, I guess. I guess the
Does it
greens
really?
symbolizes wealth.
I had no idea.
It's just a traditional sort of superstition.
Okay.
I don't know how people actually believe that it does, but like they do it just because it's a tradition too.
Mhm.
I mean, I like greens and black-eyed peas anyway, so.
Mhm.
And I'm not talking about the music. And they're cool too. I'm talking about the food. Now, it was common in Caribbean folk medicine starting in the mid-19th century and was also termed the God bush. It found its way into folk medicine in Nepal as well. These days, mistletoe extracts have actually been used in clinical trials in England to treat some cancers. It is injected under the skin or sometimes more rarely into a vein, the pleural cavity, or a tumor itself. This form of treatment has not yet been approved by the US FDA and is still considered experimental at this point.
That's wild.
Now, according to Harvard University's website, I'm just going to read what they said on there because I thought they just said it better than I could. So, interest also centers on this plant's potential as an anti-cancer treatment. Some extracts of mistletoe contain chemicals shown to kill cancer cells in the laboratory and to stimulate human immune cells. For example, a substance called alkaloids, which we've talked about anyway, and with certain plants, has similar properties as certain chemotherapy drugs used in the past to fight leukemia and other forms of cancer. However, a two-part 2019 review found that adding mistletoe extracts to conventional cancer treatments did not improve survival or quality of life.
Okay.
So there's that. But fun fact, mistletoe is the floral emblem of the U.S. state of Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
And is the flower of the UK country of Hertfordshire. Hertfordshire?
Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire.
What did you say? County?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every year, the UK town of Tinbury Wells holds a mistletoe festival and crowns a mistletoe queen. So just a few fun facts about mistletoe. We're going to jump into holly, which you shouldn't jump into because it's sharp. Don't do that. It does protect birds, though. Like a lot of birds will get in there so that like predators can't like come in there and get them. So that's pretty cool. But most of us can imagine what holly looks like. It's got the sharp edged leaves, the red berries. These are just like holiday staples when you see them like on Christmas cards and things. But is the plant poisonous? Yes, but mostly to children who may eat the berries unknowingly. The berries can cause vomiting and diarrhea, and eating around 20 plus berries can actually be fatal to children.
Okay.
The leaves can also cause nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, as well as other gastrointestinal issues. Both parts of the plant are toxic to pets and livestock, but seem to be okay to some birds who love them. The berries are more so toxic than the leaves, by the way. Now, toxicity may vary across species. There's different species of these. Now, there are some cultures in South America that use the leaves of some different species to make a tea. Also, the berries have been fermented and distilled to make a sort of brandy. I'm not sure if this messes with the process so it's not poisonous. So, or if they just use a less poisonous species, because like I said, it does vary.
Mm-hmm.
So, European holly is located in oak or beech forests, and when they are cultivated or protected, they commonly reach like 50 or more feet in height. They're pretty big.
Wow.
And they can live like 100 years or more. Near Castile and Leon, Spain, the oldest tree is reportedly well over 600 years old. The tallest holly on record is in Kennon Wood in Preston, Candover, England, and is nearly 83 feet tall, or 25.20 meters.
Wow.
The holly tree is dioecious, and the best way to explain that is that it's either male or female. Now, when mature, the male holly tree has pale yellow flowers, and the females are white. It is the female tree that produces the berries, pretty much. So, like, if you have a tree
okay.
that's not producing berries, and you're like, "This is a holly tree. Where's the berry?" Yeah, that's why.
Okay.
Now, throughout various cultures, holly was believed to have protective qualities. In pre-Christian Europe, it was connected to gods of thunder and lightning, so Thor for the Norse and Tyrannus for the Celts, as it was believed to protect against lightning. Now, it is known that this protection may have simply been because it attracted the lightning because of its shape and its size, thus drawing it away from others. So it actually does like do that. So they would plant it near their homes, but they just assumed that it was something spiritual or connected to like gods of thunder. So like, we plant this, we'll be safe from lightning.
Okay.
The Romans had similar beliefs about the tree. It was also believed by some that witches rode their brooms over hedgerows, and having a holly tree there would stop them. Thus, they protect against witches. It was also a common belief in many parts of Europe that it would protect against witches, and sprigs of holly would be placed in and on huts to do so. To some, though, it was actually believed that holly had magical qualities and would thus be good, like wood for a wand. Fun fact, Harry Potter's wand made of holly.
Let's go.
So, and we discussed Voldemort. His wand was made of yew.
Yep.
Which is also somewhat of a, it's an evergreen and sometimes attributed to Christmas and winter. Definitely poisonous. We've definitely talked about the yew tree. It's one of my favorites. So go back and listen to that too. But yeah. It was also believed to protect against malevolent fairies in cultures that believed in them. In ancient Rome, Saturnalia was a festival honoring Saturn, the god of agriculture, abundance, and renewal. The work was basically suspended, and social norms were just totally relaxed. You've got like citizens and slaves alike just participating in all the things, all kinds of raucous behavior. So there was like wreaths and boughs of holly appeared everywhere. Holly represented fertility and renewal, and to some immortality, as it was an evergreen, so it just continued to last. But yeah, so it was just a fun holiday for all, I suppose. Now, when presents, this was a time when presents were exchanged as well. So, I mean, that's another interesting little tradition. A little sprig of holly would be tied to each gift when they did exchange presents as kind of a symbol. Yeah. The celebration evolved to last about 7 days, beginning before the solstice and continuing until December 25th. This is when they would actually consider the winter solstice at that time by their calendar. To avoid persecution by the Romans, Christians took up the symbol of the holly leaves as well. They had their own symbolism for it, though. The spiky edges of the leaves were supposed to be like the crown of thorns that Jesus wore, and the red berries came to mean like the blood of Jesus. Eventually, the Christmas holiday would prevail over Saturnalia as Christianity spread, and holly remained as a part of the festivities. Now, one ancient pagan practice involved a boy dressed in holly branches to represent the masculine forces of nature, and then a girl would dress in like ivy to represent the feminine. Together, they would parade around the village to sort of welcome the winter solstice. Well, this was actually also, this also became a tradition for Christian cultures, but holly started representing Jesus and the ivy would represent the Virgin Mary. So it just kind of adapted to that culture, I guess.
All right.
Also, one Christian myth that took hold in Europe was that a holly bush sprouted leaves with thorns to hide and protect baby Jesus from King Herod's men. Remember the story where King Herod sent out men and tried to kill like all the 2-year-olds?
Clever.
Yeah, so like they started believing that it was a holly bush that sprouted leaves to protect him. I mean, that's not written in the Bible, but it's something they started believing.
Yes, lore.
Yeah. Now, as goes the myth, Jesus reciprocated the deed by making the holly an evergreen, so making it last through the winter, giving it sort of a eternal life, so to speak. Now, Druids believed the holly tree, so Celts, they believed it to possess protective qualities such as guarding against evil spirits and bad luck. Legend has it that bringing the leaves inside during the winter months would provide shelter from the cold for fairies, who in return would be kind to those who lived in the dwelling.
Mm-hmm.
The tree has been represented by a holly wreath, which was worn as a crown by Celtic chieftains for good luck. It was also used to protect newborn babies from harm by bathing them in water that was like soaked with the leaves. So it was considered protective.
Mm-hmm.
Also in Celtic mythology, the Holly King ruled over like half the year from summer to winter solstice. At this time, the Oak King defeated the Holly King to rule for the time until the summer solstice again. So like that's how they kind of explain their seasons, and it shows their love of holly and oak trees once again, like their reverence of them.
That's interesting.
Reverence of them.
Yeah.
Celtic folklore also suggested that the wood had an affinity for control, especially over horses. So a lot of whips for plowmen and horse-drawn coaches were made from holly, which honestly accounted for hundreds of thousands of stems during the 18th century. So like they would use this particular wood for that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the cutting down of holly in any of these cultures was seen as taboo. You just shouldn't do it. It's bad luck. But you could collect like seasonal cuttings of it, like where you don't actually hurt the tree. You just take a piece of it.
Okay.
So like you bring it inside for luck.
Hmm.
Also, an old remedy in Scotland and various parts of Europe for worms consisted of placing holly and sage in a bowl of water. When the patient yawned over the bowl, the worm was supposed to fall out into the water.
Okay.
So I'm not sure how that works. Yeah. A stout holly stick was actually a good thing to have when walking home across the fens on a dark night, and builders made cottage doorsteps of the wood so that witches could not enter. It's another Scottish bit of lore. If you see an old holly hedge around a cottage, it may have been deliberately planted for the same reason, to keep out witches.
Oh, okay.
It was also used in folk magic to cure physical illness. In Hampshire, children with whooping cough drink out of a cup made from holly wood. So, like, I guess as a curative,
Mm-hmm.
Also, whooping cough ain't no joke.
No, it's not. It's got a comical name, but it is a terrible illness.
It's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after Christmas, the holly still had an important part to play here. On Hogmanay, which is at the end of their year, like their sort of New Year's time in the Scottish Highlands, boys whipped each other with its prickly boughs for good luck, just smacking each other. Now, each drop of blood drawn from this painful little ritual meant a year of good health and prosperity, so long as you didn't get infection, I guess.
Sure.
Now,
Yes.
in some places, I guess they were bored. I mean, it's not like they had like Roblox, right? In some places, Christmas holly had to be burned at 12th night or bad luck would follow. So just different little rituals here and there. Now, this is interesting, and I hope I don't say this wrong. I'm sorry if I do. In Scotland, the Gaelic name for holly is Cuillin. I'm trying to remember how they say the CH.
Mm-hmm.
Cuillin. Do correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sorry. This appears across the country from like where the local McLean clan adopted holly as their clan badge, to Loch Cuillin in Rossshire in the north. The town of Cullen in Banffshire may also have derived its name from a local holly wood.
Oh.
Not Hollywood, but Hollywood.
Correct.
So I am sorry if I said any of that wrong. Yeah. Also in the Irish language, the words Maculin mean son of holly. So common anglicized forms of this arose. Last names such as McCullen, McCullion, McQuillan, McQuellen.
Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, I don't know about his.
Mm-hmm.
Are quite common surnames in some areas. So that kind of comes from this word for holly.
Interesting.
So I knew I was going to get some of that wrong, but I did want to mention that because it was cool.
Yeah.
And I really love how language works. So don't hold
Yep.
it against me, y'all. Okay, moving on to one more.
Okay.
It's called amaryllis. This one is not as talked about, but it's really pretty. It's associated with Christmas in some places, and it is poisonous. Now, there are 2 accepted species of amaryllis, and they are both native to South Africa. One is Amaryllis belladonna, which should be telling, and Amaryllis paradisicola. It is now grown in Australia as well, so good to know. Let's add something else that will kill you
Something
in
else
Australia.
in Australia that's trying to kill you. Besides the giant spiders that have supersonic speed.
Actually, most of those spiders are not venomous. Those big ones that come in the houses, I've heard they're not venomous.
And
they're basically giant pets, though, because they're huge, right?
Oh,
and they're fast.
But they're not. I don't want to see them. I do not want to.
I hear you get used to seeing them.
Oh, God.
You know. Look at that beaut.
She's a beaut.
I miss that guy. I miss Steve Irwin.
Rip Steve Irwin. We love you.
Your family is amazing, by the way.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's a good potted plant to have this time of year because it tends to bloom when others are dormant. In some places, it's commonly given as a gift for Christmas. Now, Greek lore tells of a shy nymph named Amaryllis who fell in love with Alteo, a shepherd who was given the strength of Hercules and the beauty of Apollo. Like, okay, chill. But he did not return her affections. So Amaryllis sought advice from the Oracle of Delphi, which honestly we can talk about with poisons too, because some say like the gases that came up might have been the cause of any sort of actual like seeing of things.
Oh, wow.
Now, in following her advice and following the Oracle's advice, Amaryllis would dress in white and then wait outside Alteo's door for 30 nights, where she would pierce her heart with a golden arrow each night. I don't recommend this. Where her blood fell, the flower that we call the amaryllis now bloomed. Alteo eventually fell in love with her when he discovered her surrounded by these beautiful amaryllis flowers on his doorstep. It seems a bit much. But hey, we listen and we don't judge.
Except you do.
I do. Now, in Victorian times, amaryllis came to symbolize strength and determination due to its tall height and sturdiness, and likely its persistence to bloom during the winter. Over the last several years, amaryllis plants have become increasingly popular Christmas plants due to their willingness to bloom indoors during the winter and their bright, colorful flowers. They are really pretty. The plant contains licorine, which is an alkaloid. And if any parts are ingested, poison symptoms such as abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, hypotension, cardiac arrhythmias, respiratory depression, and convulsion will occur. Now, death in humans is rare, as it would probably take a lot, but pets are definitely at risk. The main source of poisoning is the bulb itself. Like it grows from bulbs.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, actually, this is also the case for daffodils. They are actually poisonous as well. But daffodil bulbs are sometimes mistaken for onions and apparently eaten accidentally.
Whoops.
Don't do that. Yeah, so that's the case with amaryllis. I do want to mention the Christmas cactus, because some of y'all who love there's like the Christmas cactus, there's like an Easter cactus, a Thanksgiving cactus. They all look similar, but they bloom at different times. They do. They bloom at different times. And they're pretty cool looking. I have one downstairs. I do not know which one it is because mine never blooms because mine hates me. But it's still alive, but it just never blooms for me.
Okay.
But it's been rumored to be poisonous. It is not. So you don't have to worry about that one.
Okay.
English ivy, which has been used in Christmas decor in some culture, is poisonous. But that's going to be something we have to go over in a different episode because I'm pretty sure we're going over time and I could totally just do an episode on the various species of ivy itself. Yeah. Also, the Jerusalem cherry, I don't know if that's associated with Christmas or not. In some places it might be. It is also mildly poisonous, so we could go into that one later if anyone wants. But that's the quote-unquote tomato-looking fruit that Alicia Silverstone just kind of popped into her mouth. that one time on that random social media clip where she was like, "What is this? Can somebody tell me what this is?"
And then she put it right in her mouth.
Don't do that.
Fantastic.
Don't test what something is by putting it in your mouth. Please don't do that. That is not the way. Wow. That is not the way. Don't do that, please. And I love Alicia Silverstone. I think she's great. You know, whatever. I just remember her from Clueless. But she seems great. But yeah, don't just put things in your mouth. That's not science anymore. No. That's how they used to do things. Not anymore. Please don't do that. But yeah, that is my list of Christmas plants and the ones that are poisonous versus the ones that are not. If I missed any, feel free to send me a question or, ask me to go over one that I might have missed. I'm simply thinking from what I know to be associated with Christmas. I know people may have different traditions elsewhere. So yeah, let me know because I'd like to know. I'd like to learn about different traditions. It's fun.
Yes.
So
fantastic. All right. That's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all for listening so much. And we will see you in the next one.
Yay. Also, next week, we're just going to do a bonus episode because it is Christmas holidays. And I doubt I will find myself near equipment to actually do an episode.
Yeah. We're going to take a break from the main episode, but we will have a bonus episode.
Do be patient. Yes, there'll be a bonus episode, and you're going to do it with me whether you like it or not. So there's that.
All right. We will see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye for now.